That's fine by me. Cool, cool. Okay, so then Michael, um, where to begin with pain and gain?
I gotta get a pump.
That's it. It's good. It hurts. I know it does. That's it. Get it. You said no violence.
And I meant it when I said it, I swear to God.
I cannot kill.
Duly noted. Look, when this is over, we'll all go camping. All right?
Okay.
I love that movie. I love that movie a lot. It's the
Yeah.
only Michael Bay movie I like. I realized that this week. I think it's the only Michael Bay movie I like.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Sorry, Michael. Go ahead.
I noted something, like, I forgot that it was made by Michael Bay.
Really?
But as I was watching it, and I was like, this looks like Bad Boys 2. I was like, why am I watching Bad Boys 2? And I paused it and I was like, am I watching I was like, wait. And I went into the, like, who's directing it. And I was like, oh, it is Michael Bay. Like, he has such a distinct style.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm just like, oh, yeah, that's
this
Michael Bay.
movie's the reason why Mark Wahlberg was in Transformers. That this is where they met. Like, that's why he did Transformers.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. Because this
yeah.
comes out pre-Transformers, yeah. And, man, Mark Wahlberg is phenomenal in this movie. He's just an insane person. Like, I don't know. There's like, I feel like there's a term for it, where what he is. Like, the dumb guy who thinks he's smart. But
Arrogant?
and he's a narcissist. That much I can say. But I don't know what the term, like, there's like an analogy for it. But yeah, his whole thing is he's just this really dumb guy who thinks he's brilliant. And yeah, the whole time I was like, man, I was trying to be like, Michael, are you Mark Wahlberg? Do you do what he does for a living? Is that your job?
Your gifts. It's sickening. It's worse than sickening. It's unpatriotic. Greatest day of my life.
I know it's important, but you know what I really don't like about weights?
What's that?
They're so heavy. Am I right?
Can you lift this? I spot people for a living when you get right down to it. Gives the client security and a little extra help to push themselves hard.
That is 0% of what he does. Like, it's my job. Most of my job is listening to people talk about their problems, and then hopefully we get some fitness into the session.
So you're a therapist.
It really is. It is. You just, like, I don't tell anybody anybody's problems, right? Like,
Yeah.
Fair enough.
like, it's
That's
good to get it
awesome.
out.
I mean, I would say though
But
that
no,
Mark Wahlberg listened to that guy's problems enough to rob him and mutilate him, and nobody cared.
yeah, I think where me and Marky Mark there, like, are different is that I care.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
that's fair.
I'm not like,
Completely fair.
I'm going to steal this person's life. Like, that seems really interesting. I had a weird thought, like, because he makes him sign it all over. Why didn't the guy just be like, sure, whatever, here you go, and then just leave, call his lawyer or his bank and be like, hey, this just happened, don't let it go through.
Right?
Like,
Well, because he was an asshole. That's the whole thing. Like, that's the thing I liked about this movie. I liked how Michael Bay, he doesn't present any of them as good people. Like, they're all equally bad people, and they're all awful. I mean, it's my favorite Rock movie. Like, he's so
I think it's his
good.
best performance.
It's easily
It's
his best performance. It's the only time I would say he was acting. It was like the one time he felt comfortable to not be himself, not be that crafted image of this perfect guy who contractually can't lose a fight. Like,
Yeah.
that is a true fact, by the way. Like, he was willing to be vulnerable. Like, my favorite moment in that movie is at the end, where after he's gotten to the whole thing where he's tried to rob the ATM or whatever, the bank, and he's got the tie bags and they've exploded all over his face. He's shot himself in the foot, and he shows up at Anthony Mackie's wedding, and he's like all strung out, and he's like, yeah, I fucked up.
I fucked up. Oh, I gotta sit down. Oh, I'm dead. Oh, they got my toe, Danny. They got my toe. I know, Jesus.
Yeah. And it's just it's such a great moment. Like, I'm like, oh my, yeah, he's acting there. Oh my God, my guy can act. Like, that's why whenever anyone's like, The Rock is a bad actor, I'm like, no, he's just a lazy actor. Like, he can do it if he wants to. He just doesn't want to.
Yeah, he's just The Rock. Like you put him in anything, and you're like, oh, The Rock's in it. It's not like
Yeah, but
like I think we talked a little while back. We're like, it's not him, and like you don't see Black Adam, you
yeah,
see The Rock.
you see The Rock
Yeah,
exactly.
for better or worse.
But in this, he is this Paul guy. Like it's believable. It's a believable performance from The Rock, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
And the other thought I had was, and this is might be sort of controversial topic, but my favorite bit or couple in that movie is Rebel Wilson and Anthony Mackie. I love them because the joke it's not fat phobic. The joke is never about the fact that she's big. It's about the fact that he has a weird penis.
It's okay. You probably just have defeated phallus syndrome. We like treat it here all the time. But don't worry, we can change all that. That's what we specialize in here. Penis magic.
And I like they like because there was this whole thing about how she has this beef with Sacha Baron Cohen because when she was making that movie with him, he wanted her to do a joke and do a sex scene where the entire joke was about how she was fat, and she didn't like that, and she was like she felt like violated by that. So, but in this, she has a sex scene with Anthony Mackie. So clearly, Michael Bay, the guy, it was really a thought I had. The guy who's been indicted for his sexism creates an atmosphere where she felt comfortable enough to do that. And the joke never, again, seems to be on her, it's on him. And I thought that was interesting. Again, for the guy who's like, yeah, Megan Fox washed my car for an audition. Like, I just thought that was kind of interesting. I think it's his best movie. I truly do. Because again, he never makes the case in the movie that Mark Wahlberg or any of those guys are good people. Like they're not people to aspire to. What they want is not something you want to like. He has the wrong idea of the American dream. Like characters just endlessly point out he's an idiot. Great.
Yeah, he can manipulate people really, really well.
Yeah.
But he's manipulated just as easily.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
It's actually interesting because like the movie's based in the early 90s, right? Like 95, 94.
I think so.
Where he goes to the airport. He goes to the airport and sees that like that guru.
Yeah.
Like pre social media time where you don't see them every day, where you flip it through and it's like, here's how to make $1 million real easily. It's like, no, like, yeah, it's just like, wow, like you hit the nail on the head before really those people kind of came around to be more popular.
Yeah. And just the idea, and this is obviously a question for you as a personal trainer, the whole thing of like you could be like me and be like big like me, and like with the hard work. That's a question that's going to come up later, just so you know. That's bullshit, right? Like they're all Anthony Mackie, they're all doing steroids. Like you had mentioned that you like identifying when it's just steroids. Like it's just steroids.
Oh, right. Yeah, I would assume that they don't mention anything else besides just steroids. Everyone's different. Like I could take steroids, I don't. And it could not work. Like I won't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I won't look like Mark Wahlberg. It's just my genetics won't allow it.
Yeah.
Like whereas one of you could take it and then you could just get absolutely massive and swole, and it's like look crazy. Like it's just everyone responds very differently to everything.
And you know what's crazy?
Sorry, go ahead, Tim.
You know what's crazy with that is, and I don't know if you've seen this I don't know if you work at out of a gym or not, but when I was at World's Gym as a trainer, women were coming in to sell breast milk to the bodybuilders.
Okay, that was my question. That was my question. Oh my God, thank you for bringing that up, Tim. That's a bit. That is a bit in this movie. Anthony Mackie drinks breast milk. I was going to ask Michael, is that a thing? Thank you for that. Is a thing. That is a legit thing that happens in real life.
I think it was a thing. I've never seen it now. You can get stronger stuff off the internet and have it delivered to your door.
Fascinating.
Yeah, this was 2019, 2020 when I was working out of the gym.
Really? Wow. That's incredible. Because Anthony Mackie. Yeah, that's incredible. Because there's a scene in this movie where Anthony Mackie busts out the breast milk, and it's treated as a not normal thing. And I'm like, Glass. Now here, who am I to cast judgment? Maybe it's perhaps not a weird thing, but it feels like a weird thing.
But you know what I think is are we crossing DNAs though? So if this lady has a history of X, Y, and Z in the family that's passed down the bloodline. If this bodybuilder is drinking her breast milk, is that DNA being processed over? I mean,
I don't
I've
know.
had deep thoughts about that because if we saw it, we had to stop it. Obviously, they're making a trade inside the gym. So,
Oh, interesting.
yeah,
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's I think it's just icky. It's just like
Yeah,
I just think it's weird.
that's not what that stuff's for. It's for feeding
No.
babies, not
Yeah.
big up big men. That's kind of odd.
I don't.
and Michael makes a good point. You can get a lot of things a lot
Yeah,
stronger off the
I work.
internet now.
I don't like to put people.
It's not worth it though.
I no. I mean,
No.
certainly, this movie makes it seem not worth it. At every point, they describe Anthony Mackie's penis as being weird, and it really does seem to be implied that it's from the steroids. And I don't know, big arms don't seem worth it. They just don't seem worth it. Like I feel kind of bad making fun of him, but I worked with the guy who proudly came in and bragged that he was going to start taking steroids so he would get huge. And the first thing I made a crack about the tiny nuts, and I was like, it just doesn't seem worth it, man. I don't know, it just doesn't. It's just that sounds uncomfortable. Now he was committed. And he showed them to me. He was like, hey, look at my steroids.
Oh, I thought you meant his tiny nuts.
Yeah,
and I was gonna be like, wow.
And then he showed me the tiny nuts. Yeah. That
they
happened.
can't get smaller.
Oh my god,
They can't get smaller.
put him away. My gosh. Oh, goodness gracious.
Michael, do you remember about maybe 10, 15 years ago about the deer antler? The red velvet inside of the deer's antlers has a growth hormone. And I think there was a baseball player. It was the first time that he came up positive. They tested for that and found that growth hormone in his blood or urine, whatever they did the drug test. But yeah, people, it's a mist that you could put under your tongue and it's supposed to help you grow. And it's from the red velvet from the deer antlers. And I tell people, if you're not doing it natural, you're going to hurt yourself, right? I mean,
Yeah.
It's scary.
There are no shortcuts.
Yeah, you gotta do the hard work. That's my. I don't have. Michael, do you have anything else to say you'd like to say about Pain and Gain? Any fun
I like when The
anecdotes?
Rock was like.
Sorry?
I like when The Rock was grilling a hand.
That was
Like
yeah.
he goes outside, and then I noticed like the movie pauses, and I looked, I was like, what? And then it said, "This is a real movie." Like this, like don't forget, this is like based on facts.
I mean, it's not. That's okay. If we want to talk about the based on I hate it when things are saying like it's like if you watch Baby Reindeer, they're going through that too. Never say it is a true story. Always say it's based on a true story because like the victim apparently sued the people who made the movie for like I can't remember what it was for. I can't remember if it was for making him look completely horrible, but it was it was
because he had a weird penis.
No, that's Anthony Mackie. No, that guy. They actually made him look nice in that movie. That's what's so funny. Apparently, in real life, the guy that Anthony Mackie plays was a total psycho and like he's completely crazy. And the movie makes him seem nice and like objective, but he's not. But yeah, no. Apparently, it's loosely based on real events. Like apparently, like the actual gang, there's like way more guys, and so it's like. Not actually a true story. My favorite bit with that movie is how it switches narrators 1,000 times. Like every time it's just another person just starts explaining another thing, but it's never boring. I don't know how else to describe it. Like it's just a really dynamic movie that I remember being longer. Like I remember it being 240, but it was only 206, and it feels like 1:40. Like you're like, oh wow, it's almost over already. It's just like I guess it's because I the previous weeks I watched his Transformers movies. I watched all of them in a row in a short span of time, and that movie made me
Can you spell masochist?
That made me hate movies.
No.
So it was a bad time. It was not a good time. So like I just was like the man can't make good movies. So it was just kind of refreshing to watch a movie that was like genuinely good and was like, yeah, this actually feels like it is kind of smart, which for Michael Bay is kind of remarkable.
Yeah, that's not the word that I think of when I think of Michael Bay. So that is impressive.
It's genuinely, it's like It's like one of the ones when I'm like, don't watch any of the Transformers movies. Okay, maybe watch the first one, but then don't watch the rest of them. Go watch Pain and Gain instead. It's a much better movie.
You know,
I
at
think
this
the
point,
best.
Sorry.
at this point, it's just go watch Bumblebee.
Yeah. Skip the rest
Yeah,
of it. Go watch Bumblebee.
yeah. I think the best way to describe Michael Bay though is just like you just have to use Michael Bay. It's like what's Michael Bay's style? Michael Bay.
He's
and that's
Michael
the
Bay.
only way you can describe him. It's like, oh, okay, I understand what he's
Yeah.
like Zack Snyder.
That's what I was
It's
literally
like,
gonna
oh,
say.
yeah,
That it's
yeah,
like Zack Snyder.
yeah.
You have to be like, it's Zack Snyder. It's just
He marches to the beat of his own drum.
for better or worse.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
this case, for better. For better. I genuinely like. I full on. If you haven't seen it, full on recommend it. Very good. Especially like he's crazy bodybuilders, crazy musclehead bodybuilders. Like that's a line they say at one point in this movie. It's phenomenal. It's genuinely really good.
I don't